Stepdad acts furiously after bride-to-be asks biological father to walk her down the aisle. A married couple's separation affects their kids the most. Remarrying is an even worse challenge for the little ones. To a parent, it feels like they've won the greatest war once kids get along with their step-parents. This is the story about a stepdad who did everything possible to win the heart of his stepdaughter. He thought his efforts were paid off when she started to call him dad. Sadly, he was living in a delusion. A stepfather was confused and speechless after what all happened with him on a day he had been waiting for so long. When the day was finally close enough, his stepdaughter's decision changed everything for him and his family. He had no one to share his feelings with and know if what he did was right or not, and that's when he turned to Reddit. So the stepdad had a Reddit account under the username Godzilla Moon, which he used to share his story with the world. It all started 10 years back when he met a woman and fell for her in the first meeting. The woman was divorced and had one daughter from her ex-husband. Several months later, while proposing to her, he was aware that the responsibility of a father will fall on his shoulders with that of a husband. The man was able to connect with his stepdaughter as well. And when the couple got married, they made a happy family with no issues of the serious sort. The girl didn't take much time to adjust with her stepdad back then. She used to call him Dad and even introduced him willingly to her teachers during the PTA meetings. Years passed and their bond grew stronger. For a matter of fact, Godzilla Moon completed 10 years of being a loving husband and caring father. He looked after the kid as if she was his blood. When the girl completed her schooling, her stepdad even offered to pay for her college studies, even if that meant taking a loan of almost $40,000 on his head. She stayed with her parents during her college years and was even gifted a brand new car from her stepdad. He was the sole breadwinner of the family, yet he never said no to any wishes of his beloved wife and daughter. After all, they were all he had, and he liked spending his money on the two most beautiful women in his life. Walking down her daughter to the aisle is every father's dream. So when he found out that the boy she had been dating for 2 years wanted to marry her, he couldn't be happier. He saw her growing up, and now that she was ready to be married, it made him feel lucky about how perfect his life had turned out to be. Over the years, Godzilla Moon got well aware of the fact that her biological father wasn't around to help and support the mother and daughter. It was an overwhelming moment when he offered to pay for her wedding, at least for him it was. Godzilla Moon mentioned in his Reddit post that he loved his stepfather wholeheartedly. He also shared the rare presence of her biological father as well. Her biological father used to meet her once in a while, and the girl used to wait for those days eagerly. Her stepfather never felt bad about it, but something did bother him a lot. Her biological father never paid attention to her that she deserved. He used to show up in her life as per his wish and left whenever he wanted to. He never cared about the emotions of the little girl who felt heartbroken every time her biological dad left her. Several times, her biological father promised and later didn't show up. It was unbearable for the stepdad to see her suffer, so he told the man once not to hurt the girl. However, it didn't bring any change in his actions. At last, Godzilla Moon waited for her to grow up and learn that her biological father didn't care. Unfortunately, that never happened. Her biological father left her crushed so many times. Still, it didn't come in the way of a daughter's love for her father. She was well aware that he might leave her anytime again, but she preferred to ignore. She always admired his presence for a short time over his long disappearance. Although she loved her stepdad too, the only exception to it was whenever her birth dad showed up in the picture. She was aware of all the things her stepdad has done for her, and she was thankful for it all. Well, was being thankful enough? Was it all that the stepdad deserved? Godzilla Moon explained how the deadbeat father never offered any kind of financial support to the mother and her daughter, neither when the girl took admission in a reputed college, nor when she decided to get married. In the stepdad's eye, he was nothing more than an irresponsible man. After the date was finalized for the big day, the stepdad arranged a family dinner to share his joy. So far, Godzilla Moon tolerated everything until his stepdaughter made an announcement during a family supper. This one decision changed everything. After the supper, while her mother and stepdad were serving the dessert, the bride-to-be stood up to make an announcement. She started with thanking everyone to be a part of her special night. She wished her biological dad were a part of the supper too. Going further, she explained, his absence didn't stop her from offering him the greatest opportunity to walk her down the aisle on her big day. The bride-to-be had tears in her eyes when she said that her father said yes. Everyone was glad to know that the girl's wish will be fulfilled. Everyone but not Godzilla Moon. It was all too much for the old man to take in. He wasn't even over with her announcement when another shock made its way to him. Godzilla Moon was paying for the wedding, and yet when he suggested the names of 20 guests he would like to invite to the wedding, it was denied. Those people were close to him and there was around 250 guests' name on the venue list. It didn't seem to make a big difference if 20 guests were included for his sake. The stepfather was surprised to see the behavior of the girl whom he had treated like a princess. It was the money he earned working hard and overtime, and she didn't even bother to acknowledge his simple request. And the worst news arrived when one of his golf friends called him. Stepdad's old family friend asked him why his name wasn't mentioned on the wedding invitation. He was completely unaware of it, and this a clear sign that his daughter didn't want to include him in the wedding at all. It was a storm inside Godzilla Moon and he had to share it with someone. He thought his wife will be able to explain her daughter's perspective on him. Instead of sharing her husband's concern, the bride-to-be's mother went on defending her, as a result of which it all turned out to be a huge fight. She said his guests were not on the list because it wasn't possible to accommodate them. In case some guests wouldn't be able to make to the wedding, then they might send the invite to some of his guests. Godzilla Moon had an argument with the woman she loved over all that was happening, but he kept it all aside for the next day's celebration. The next was a huge dinner night where both the bride's as well as the groom's family were to be introduced with each other. The stepdad just hoped that he didn't have to see the biological father's face. But time was being rude to him and nothing was in his favor. As expected, the biological dad was sitting right in front of him. He kept his calm even though every moment was like torture for him. The stepdaughter stood up from her chair and introduced her biological father with both the families. She was on the cloud nine to tell that her real father will be attending all the functions and how much it meant for her. Everyone was thrilled but her stepfather. He was done with it now. Yes, his anger was on the verge of bursting out, yet he somehow controlled. He wanted to walk out of that room right away, but he didn't, as this time he wasn't stopping himself from staying silent, rather he had something on his mind. All the happy moments with his stepdaughter were the best moments of his life. He couldn't believe it was the same girl ignoring him completely when he was the one working hard to fulfill all that she ever asked for. After thinking on how nothing worked as he planned or expected, he did what no one was expecting. He stood up to make a toast soon after his daughter sat. It's a custom to make a toast during the joyous gatherings like this one, and he started with how blessed he had been ever since his wife and the bride-to-be entered in his life. He shared his experience over the last decade, but he wanted to thank the bride and the groom the most for what they have taught him. Everyone was listening to him carefully, and it was expected that Godzilla Moon will be praising the couple, but did he? No one on the table could have guessed his actual heartache. So, he thanked the couple to make him realize who he truly was. Well, he always thought of himself to be an irreplaceable part of the family. Was he? The stepdad wasn't done yet. All the rage inside was about to make its way out now. He added that he was nothing more than a cash machine for his family. He even said that he felt like a good stream of money, but not much else. Finally, it was time to conclude his speech, and he was going to conclude it with a decision. Godzilla Moon explained how insulted and embarrassed he felt among his friends when one of them wasn't invited. The person knew both the bride and the groom very well and was also aware of their wedding. On top of it, the rest of his guests received just a piece of paper as the invitation in the mail. So, he ended his speech by explaining his final decision for the betterment of his family. As neither his name was mentioned on the wedding invitations nor was he invited for it, he announced that he'll deny what he had previously offered. He further added that he took it as his privilege to be a part of his stepdaughter's wedding, but seeing the recent developments, he won't be paying for the wedding at all. In fact, this privilege should be given to the bride's biological father, who was being praised by her ever since he arrived in the part. This decision of the stepfather wasn't going to stop at the wedding. In fact, he made it clear that from then on, he will be paying for neither the daughter nor her mother's lavish expenses. After all, it was his money. The stepdad now said he will appreciate it a lot if both the mother and her daughter will leave his home, as he would rather live alone than living with selfish people like them. At last, he will be removing them from his joint savings account. He wasn't even concerned for both of them, as they had the real dad by their side. Godzilla Moon's Reddit thread became a new talk. Many Redditors congratulated the old man on taking a stand for himself. This gave him the most needed confidence that what he did wasn't wrong. They requested him to tell further updates about the whole scene, which he agreed upon. When hundreds of people requested and showed interest in knowing what happened later, he shared another post mentioning that they had to cut off a lot of things out of their list without Godzilla Moon's money. Godzilla Moon's partner did try her best to get things back on track, but that wasn't going to happen. She even tried to create a scene out of it. She even showed him the list of all their plans and how badly their daughter wanted all of those things on her big day. Anyway, he stayed put with his decision, which proved to be right. Godzilla Moon was going through the papers of wedding plans that his partner left on the table before moving out when he noticed the sections he didn't notice before. For the traditional father-daughter dance, his daughter chose all the songs of the real father's choice. The entire wedding itinerary was made keeping his favorites in mind. He did feel sad when they moved out, but they weren't his real family. His former partner also made an attempt to write a check of a huge amount to herself. Luckily, he made it there on time and removed her from the account. He was able to get a part of his money refunded, but not all. For instance, the $1,500 he paid in advance for the venue were non-refundable. Still, he saved himself a fortune of money by thinking for himself at last. A Redditor commented about the story, "As a woman, and as a mother, it shames me to see women acting like this towards someone like you. It is women like this that give the rest of us a bad name and label many as gold diggers. I don't know if it is the culture, background, or upbringing, but I can surely say that it is your right to do what you did, and should never feel bad about it. You handled that beautifully," another user said to Godzilla Moon. "I'm a young woman with both a real dad and stepdad in my life that I love very much. I've often wondered which would walk me down the aisle. My two dads hate each other, so I worry about offending the other. Would you have felt better if she asked the both of you to walk her down the aisle, as in one dad on each arm?" Godzilla Moon responded to it very maturely. He mentioned, "Your situation is probably different than ours. If real dad has contributed time and money to raising you throughout your life, has shared in alleviating the anguish that is bringing up a teenage girl rather than contributing to it, then you should be fine. Ask them both to meet you. Ask them to do it as a favor to you. No man could refuse that." A large number of Redditors supported this response. On the other hand, there were some who doubted the man's honesty. Many people didn't agree that Godzilla Moon was indeed the protagonist of this story. A Redditor said, "Something's not sitting right with me. Can't help it. The people I've known where their parents saw them as parasites were situations where the parents allowed them to be parasites and controlled and manipulated them with money. I honestly don't think he's innocent in any of it." Another Redditor exclaimed, "Yeah, I'm kind of feeling what you're saying," came an assenting voice. Incredible disrespect from his side of the story, but an overreaction if the subject of him being excluded hadn't been talked about before. This isn't the hero we need or deserve. This isn't a victory for the little guy. This is an angry and self-centered man making a spectacle to ease his hurt pride. I sympathize with that. I get it. What I don't get is how you can expect a position of honor that is based on love when it's painfully obvious that you wanted it for respect," the Redditor went on saying. One Redditor came up with a harsh response. "You abandoned your kid. I can see you walking out on paying for the wedding, even being mad. I can see you raising a stink. But as you said, you cut both of them out of your life forever. Let me make this clear. You cut the child you raised out of your life forever. You said you wanted to be treated like a real father. Real fathers don't cut their daughters out of their life." The Redditor questioned Godzilla Moon. "What makes you any better than her natural father? You're disgusting." That's when many people came for his rescue. One of them said that the old man already took a lot of nonsense, still require very little in return, but those things we require are absolute. Those things are respect, consideration, and appreciation. Another person said, "No, they cut him out. He finally decided to go along with it." When many people's emotions got attached with the story of Godzilla Moon, the question arose if it was authentic or not. The doubts came from the fact that the virtual account, named as Godzilla Moon, was only related to the recent viral story. There were no previous stories. He answered very selective questions. Many people suggested this was done to protect his privacy, and that's all. A popular website named Snopes got into the picture when they started an investigation to know the authenticity of Godzilla Moon. Snopes told it depends heavily on deeply entrenched stereotypes of shiftless women and the meal ticket men they routinely drain dry. They made their final statement that finally put an end to all the questions. After taking over a month of time, they issued a statement. At last, nothing was ever really concluded, so we guess the real names of the characters, if they exist, will always stay a mystery.